Hi, it's Dane. We're going to take a few different topics today, all doing with this acoustic guitar, from sanding or scraping the sides to a place where we can start thinking about binding channels and end grafts. And the end graft or wedge is probably the first thing we're going to tackle after the sanding. And yeah, let's get to it. We're going to look at a few things this time. One is getting the sides sanded out enough to do a binding channel. And so I kind of want to start with that. And I went over to a scraper and I'm just going to do the scraper until I'm happy. I have a little bit of a lip here, and that's due to the fact that there's a little bit of a hump right in the side here. So I'll be taking some of that side out and some of that part that's proud here on the back. And again, this is just saying this is the process. I'm not gonna film all of it for you, record all of it for you. You have to forgive us boomers that lived through practically the old camera where you had to put your head under a blanket. Not quite that old. All the way to today's technology. And so when you were dealing with cameras and films for literally 50 years of your 69 years of existence, it's hard to get to the new terms, such as just recording. Anyway, a lot of useless information there. Now, like I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go around the entire unit, making sure that things are flat and everything's smoothed in. I will probably hit it with a block. This is a foam block, but it's pretty stiff. And this is 80 grit that I have on here now. And I'll either stop at 100 grit, which is what's right here. Over here in front of the camera, Dane. Good job. And that was the 80 grit on the soft. I'm just over here flexing this block like you could actually see it happen. Okay, and then I got another block here that came with the Aslux, Super Aslux paper. And I have a 120 on that. So anywhere between 100 and 120, I'll be happy with getting them prepped for binding channels. Because after the binding goes on, you have to do all that scraping and sanding again. Okay, so I'll do whatever I have to do to get this all to feel right all the way around the guitar with 100 or with 80 grit and 100 grit, and then possibly 120. And this block is actually pretty good, pretty firm. So the only place it gets a little weird is in the waist here. You have to just kind of take a little bit of time. I might even go get a spindle from my spindle sander and just use that right in here by hand and just make sure everything's covered. So that's that part of it. Once that's done, I will fire everything back up again here in the camera and show you what's next, what I'm thinking about with my end graft. All right, I've sanded up to 220 or 120 in places. I'm just going to spray some shellac sealer on here so you can see excuse me, what it's kind of a preview of what it might look like under finish. So here goes. Anyway, I think that looks pretty amazing. So here it is without finish, and here it is with finish. Yeah, in the back, sort of the same thing. It's the same kind of wood, but to give you an idea, I think that's going to be amazing. Okay, the front. Don't forget this is fur, Doug fir. Don't really have good light on this, but that's a really nice color. So yeah, this is just going to go all natural. It's going to be a beaut. And with the mahogany neck, with the Wedge down the middle of that. Yeah, it's going to look great. All right, let's talk about the end graft that I'm going to attempt. Well, let's just do a couple different scenarios. All right, so this is, let's just say this is the top of the guitar, looking at the end of the guitar, where the end graft would be and the peg and all that kind of stuff. So here's the end of the guitar. Hope my pen doesn't run out of ink. Now you're going to have binding coming down, say, approximately a 1/4 inch, maybe 225, something like that, thousandths. Anyway, you're going to have that on both the top and the bottom. And in this case, it's going to be Wenge, which you saw me bend in another previous video. And they are going to be the same size, even though I didn't draw them the same size. And then you're going to have, I don't have to do it around the bottom, maybe only on the top. Anyway, you're going to have another little line of purfling under here. And I'm going to make it bigger than it is, just so otherwise you won't be able to see it. Okay, and then you're going to have an end graft or wedge, whatever the case may be. I'm probably going to have to do it. I'm just going to show you on the top though, because I'm probably going to have to do it on both sides. Then you have, so here's the purfling again, which is bigger than it really will be. Or, I don't know, it might be drawn at about the right size, but in proportion to this drawing, it's bigger. All right, so you can see that now. So you could, oh, this end graft needs to go all the way up to the binding. All right, so what you do is you set your router for the binding depth that you want. Let's just say, just for square numbers, we'll say 1/4 inch for the binding. And then let's say we've got 30 thousandths for the purfling. 0, 3, 0. All right, now you could just do the end graft, do the purfling next to that, run it all the way into the binding. In which case you would run your router all the way across. You put your end wedge in, then you would cut your binding channel and you'd run it straight across, and you would just have these butting into this piece of purfling. But I'd like to miter them. So what you have to do in a case like that is, did I cut the miter the right direction? Yeah. Is it possible to cut? Oh, no, I didn't. Because what will happen here is this wedge will go all the way up to the, let's draw a new one. All right, now the graft is going to go all the way to the binding. And your purfling is going to run to there. And to there. All right, so in this instance, you have a miter in each corner. Okay. So you would take your router and run your router at the 250 mark, 1/4 inch, and you'd run it straight across over your end graft or wedge and straight through. And then you would come back, add that extra 30 thousandths, and come up and just stop short of that so that you don't cut into any of this. Then you take a chisel, clean this out, and it allows you to run that through and miter that. So this is what I'm going to attempt to do. So worst case scenario is if you screw it up, you just go ahead and run your router through. And then, well, you'd have to pull your binding off. Now the purfling goes in first. Anyway, yeah, so you can tell I'm kind of shooting from the hip on this, but this is how I would do it. So you got your first binding channel of 250 or a 1/4 inch, and then you would run your second one and you'd stop short of where your graft is at. Then you would just have to do that with handwork, and you'd have to miter this. And my purfling here is going to be white black. So you put the white against what's already black, which is the wenge. Same thing here. So the white would be against the wenge, and then the black would be against the spalted maple. So anyway, I hope that is somewhat clarifies that. I'm going to go ahead and start doing the graft part of this. Well, all right, folks, I'm back, and I have laid out the end graft. I made a wedge. This has got tape on it so that I can draw my center lines, which I did. Now I can take my tape off so you can just see that it is indeed wenge or wenge. It's actually wenge. I am really steamed right now. I spent 40 minutes sanding the guitar out to get it to prep to this. Then I made the wedge, and I've spent 45 or an hour looking for the purfling strips. I have some that I can demo with, but they're not necessarily the size of the ones that I bought to do the entire. I bought like 20 of them, and they're in a little plastic case, all rolled up and closed, and I don't know where they're at. I have looked everywhere, and I am, like I said, I am steamed. So anyway, what I did was I laid it out, then I put it on the layout, then I put tape on this ruler, sticky tape, and then I stuck the ruler down. Now, when I pull the tape, the 2x tape off of this graft, I can stick it down. Okay? And I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it down a little bit up. Maybe not that much. I'm going to stick it up about the height of the combination of the binding and the purfling. Anyway, so yeah, somewhere like that. So I'll do that, and then I will explain to you what I'm going to do, how it works, but I won't be able to do it because I don't have my purfling. And I want to get the video done and uploaded this afternoon. This is Sunday. Anyway, so I put this here so that I can just very easily locate it. There we go. So now it is in the right place. So now, what you would do if you had purfling, you probably have purfling because you wouldn't be dumb enough to lose your purfling after ordering it special for this job. I'll tell you what I'm afraid happened was that sometimes I lay stuff on the outfeed side of my sander, my drum sander, and last week before the trash day, I fired the sander up and I heard something go in the trash can. And I found something, and I thought, that's it. And then it's dawning on me now. I'm thinking, and I'm hoping not. There might still be a chance to find this stuff. Thinking that maybe, just maybe, I dropped that in the trash as well and didn't see it. And then I took my trash out, and it's long gone. So this stuff, this purfling, I don't know what the stuff I ordered is. I'll just have to go to the reorder button and do that. I don't think it was terribly expensive, but if I find my other stuff, I'll have way more. This is measuring like almost 198. Now, I'm really only going to want to go in about 60 to 70 on this, because my thickness of my binding is going to be about 90. So you definitely don't want to be deeper than that. Well, I do have a purfling on the top as well, so I could be deeper than that, but it's really just as well to stay less than what your thickness of your binding is going to be. So what you would do is, what I would do is I would put tape on here, this straight piece of wood, and then I would put it in right next to this other piece that's got tape on it, and tape it down so that I can use this as a router guide. Okay, and we get that nice and snug in there. And like I said, I lift it up a little bit so that I have room. If it overcuts a fuzz, I can push this down, and that'll tighten that up. I could have made it longer than I needed to, and then I would be sure. That's the advantage of using a wedge rather than just a straight one. And so, if you do this on both sides, it's not so critical for the demonstration, but it's pretty critical for the actual doing it, is you want to make sure that when you're gluing things up that you get the white against the dark and get them correct. Not sure if you can see it, and there's kind of shadowy. Oh, the dog's coming in. Okay, so these do kind of roll out a little bit with the guitar body. So I'll do 2 or 3 rows of masking tape on the outside edge here. I got some 1/2 inch stuff, actually 1/4 inch stuff, and that will level these up, because I don't want to come in at an angle with the bearing. So I'm going to put these so that they're level with each other, and I'll put my little ruler, my little 6-inch steel rule, across that, make sure they're relatively straight, and then I can just set my router at 60 thousandths, 60 or 70 thousandths, and route that out. And then it's just a matter of putting everything, gluing everything in, and letting that dry, and then just flushing everything up on the to the back, or the butt end of this thing, and then you can come back by and do your routing for your purfling and binding. And I showed you that earlier, and I think that, I hope that made sense, but as I'm doing it, maybe it will make more sense. But that's it for this week, because the dumb old man, or forgetful, well, I'm not dumb, I'm just not always here. Anyway, the forgetful old man, I seriously think that, as hard as I've tried to find that purfling here, that it is definitely in the trash, or went to the transfer station and it's already gone somewhere else on the planet. Okay, I'm going to keep looking, but I'm going to definitely just order me some more so I can continue with this. Okay, hey, I hope something I shared with you today helps out. I know this is a short video. And, well, maybe next week I'll have some purfling and we can carry on. Get this wedge actually glued in. Thank you, folks. Take care, and I'll talk to you next time.